I remember once hearing that according to Hasidus, not necessarily does one need to always express everything he's feeling or thinking, especially if it's a negative emotion, etc. In the world, it is a bit more of a priority or a positive psychological approach to speak one's negative feelings, to let it out, so to say, like I'm angry and so forth. And it seems, this person who's asking the question, is that there seems to be a different approach to it in Hasidus. Is this familiar to you? Would you have a source where I can maybe look it up? Thank you. The answer to this question is that it's mentioned in Ranat based on the Sefer Reishis Chochma. The Hemshech Ranat, at least the beginning of Hemshech Ranat, is about words and what happens when people express themselves. How bringing something to the level of speech enhances whatever existed before. Meaning, you have an idea. When you verbally articulate it, just speaking it out will give you more idea. And a person has a certain feeling. Physically articulating it, orally articulating it, will give you more feeling. So in the course of this conversation, the Rebbe mentions that it says in Sefer Reishis Chochma that when a person is angry, they should be quiet, they shouldn't talk. Because expressing it will exacerbate it, will make it more. It's a classic and a simple attitude of a Sefer of Musar, the Reishis Chochma, which is just say B'Hadar Kodesh, it's based on Kabbalah, that when a person is in a negative emotional space, the best way to do it is to shut the emotion down. That's the source of it. In the new print of the Ranat, it's on page Zayin, and in footnote 66, he references the Shar HaNova Seif Perek K in the Reishis Chochma, and his sources from one of the Rishonim from Orchet Tzadikim Shar Yud Beis, which is Shar HaKas, and then he makes several references to other Maimorim in Samachei, in Ayin Aleph, and in Pei Zayin. I'm assuming they have a similar idea. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a mental health professional. I know nothing about that field, or very little about that field. At most, I have a layman's understanding, and I probably don't even have that. But I'm under the impression that over the last many years, the field of psychotherapy has gone away more and more from what we would call the long-short approach, solving emotional problems by going into the subconscious and bringing them out. In other words, they've gone further and further away from the psychoanalytic approach, where when a person has a problem, they want to find the sources of the problem and fix the sources so that they can deal with the symptoms. There's much more of an understanding of dealing with problems practically, behavior modification therapies and things of this sort. And I think that idea is to a considerable degree in line with this Reishis Chochma, lahavdil. For a long time there was a belief that if a person has any kind of blockages, any kind of neurosis, you have to get to the source of it. In order to get to the source of it, you have to express a lot of emotion, you have to express how you feel. I understand that there is an attitude towards being much, much more practical. And I think that if we wanted to ask ourselves how the Rebbe feels about this, and of course nobody can say with certitude what the Rebbe holds, you have to ask the Rebbe himself. But there are so many indications of the Rebbe about all kinds of issues. And I believe that the Rebbe's approach is as practical an approach as possible. In other words, if a person has emotional stuckness, it has to be gotten past so we can do what we need to do. The best way to do that is to overcome it by doing good, by just getting past it, by stoicism, by just being stronger than it. If we cannot do it, then we have no choice, but we must address it. And there is a very, very fine line between addressing it and getting too caught up in it. We live in an age where everybody is very sensitive to their own feelings and people like to express their own emotions. But I don't think that it is always healthy. I think that quite often expressing our emotions to deal with all kinds of things only exacerbates them. Exactly what the Sefer Reishis Chochma says, doesn't help us. And I think that that's how the Rebbe would understand it. I can't say this with a certainty, but this is my sense that when a person has a problem, they need to address it. And the point of addressing it is getting past it, period. And the shortest route between 2 points is a straight line. So what is the quickest and most imminent way with which I can solve this problem? If I can get past this problem in a more practical way, I will. If I'm stuck and I have no choice but to go deeper into it, so then I have no choice, then I have to go there. And I think that that's the spirit of this Reishis Chochmah. Emoting, as a rule, is a cascade. The more you do it, the more you want to do it. And the more it takes you over. It feels like healing, but it isn't healing. It's wallowing. And ultimately, a person has to get past everything, including their anger. And in many cases, perhaps in most cases, the best way to do that is to be stronger than it.